Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going to be exploring the world of manifestation and self-love,
Oh, interesting.
but not in the way you might expect. We're diving deep into this YouTube video by Michaela, a hypnotherapist and spiritual mentor.
I've heard of her.
Yeah, she's got a pretty big following online. So,
Hmm.
you might be thinking, like, another manifestation guru.
Yeah.
But
Huh.
hold on, Michaela's approach goes beyond just like those surface level techniques.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
So what makes her approach different?
Well, instead of just like visualizing your dream life,
Hmm.
she argues that you need to build a solid foundation of self-love first.
That makes sense. It's like you can't build a house on a shaky foundation, right?
Exactly. She actually uses that analogy. It's like if you're trying to manifest from a place of insecurity, it's like building a house on sand.
Yeah, it might look good for a while, but it won't last.
Right, exactly. And so she believes that self-love is really the key to making manifestation work, not
Mhm.
just like some fluffy add-on.
Oh, I like that. So it's not just about attracting external things, but about changing something internally.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. She argues that, a lot of people try to manifest things like wealth or success to kind of fill a void inside.
It's like they're hoping that then they'll feel worthy.
Yeah, exactly. But she's saying that lasting manifestation comes from a place of wholeness,
Yeah.
not from trying to fix yourself with external things.
So how do we get to that place of wholeness? Where do we even begin?
Well, she dives into how a lot of our insecurities actually stem from childhood experiences and societal conditioning.
Ah, that's interesting.
Yeah. You know how like our subconscious minds, especially in those early years, are like sponges, absorbing messages about what we need to be in order to be loved and accepted.
Totally. I hadn't really thought about it like that before.
Yeah. And what's crazy is that we often aren't even aware of this programming. It's like an invisible script running in the background, influencing our thoughts and actions.
Wow. So that could really sabotage our efforts to manifest, even if we're using all the right techniques.
Yeah. It's like we might be saying all the positive affirmations, but deep down, there's this little voice whispering, but you're not good enough yet.
I know that voice all too well. It can
Uh,
be so sneaky.
Right. And Michaela is saying that until you address that inner conflict, you'll likely keep hitting those roadblocks.
Okay, so this is where the real work begins. Becoming aware of those subconscious patterns and actively challenging them.
Exactly. And she doesn't shy away from that. This is where things get a little bit deeper.
So let's say someone's listening and thinking, okay, I need to challenge those negative beliefs, but how? What does Michaela suggest?
She really emphasizes the importance of, first of all, slowing down
Okay.
and paying attention to your thoughts and behaviors, really becoming aware of like what's actually going on in your mind.
Mm-hmm. Like becoming an observer of your own thoughts.
Yes. And journaling can be a really powerful tool for this, she says. By writing down those thoughts, we can start to see the patterns, identify where those limiting beliefs are coming from.
It's like shining a light on those shadows that we often try to ignore.
Exactly. And then, once you've brought those beliefs to the surface,
Hmm.
that's when the real work of shifting them can begin.
So what's next? How do we actually shift from those negative beliefs to more empowering ones?
This is where Michaela's emphasis on radical self-love comes in.
Ah, self-love. It's so much easier said than done.
I know, right? But she makes a really compelling argument for why it's so crucial to this whole process. She argues that we need to embrace our imperfections and practice unconditional self-acceptance, even when we mess up or feel like we failed.
So it's about shifting from that conditional love of I'll love myself if I achieve this or that to a deeper acceptance of ourselves, just as we are.
Exactly, flaws and all.
I think that's a really powerful message because so many of us are conditioned to strive for perfection, to constantly be doing more, being more.
Oh yeah, it's like we're never enough.
But Michaela suggests that this relentless pursuit of self-improvement can actually block us from accessing our true potential.
And create a lot of unnecessary suffering, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
She even talks about how she fell into this trap herself, chasing a career that looked good on paper, but wasn't truly aligned with her soul's purpose.
Until she addressed those underlying insecurities and embraced her authentic self, she kept feeling unfulfilled.
No matter how much she achieved.
I think that's something a lot of people can relate to. So it's not about pushing ourselves to be different, but about giving ourselves permission to rest and recharge.
Yes. Recognizing that we're already enough, just as we are. And from that place of self-acceptance, we can start to tap into our true power.
Create a life that is aligned with our highest good.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that? Like,
Yeah.
how do we shift from self-criticism to self-love,
Mm.
especially when those negative thoughts keep popping up?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It feels so overwhelming sometimes.
Well, Michaela acknowledges that it's definitely a challenging process. She's very open about her own struggles with self-doubt.
Mhm.
And, those moments when she just wanted to, numb out, distract herself. Oh, yeah.
She actually identifies these two common patterns that people tend to fall into.
Mm-hmm.
Either pushing themselves to the point of burnout
No, I do that.
or feeling completely frozen and overwhelmed.
Oh, I do that too.
Yeah, I think we've all been there.
So what's the key to breaking free from those patterns? How do we cultivate that inner strength, that resilience to actually navigate those tough emotions?
Well, she emphasizes that it's not about reaching some imaginary state of perfection,
Okay.
but learning to meet ourselves with compassion and understanding right where we are,
Mm-hmm.
even in those moments when we're, feeling like a hot mess.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
It's like giving yourself a hug, even when you don't feel like you deserve it.
exactly. And that's where those somatic practices she talks about come in.
Okay, the shaking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shaking, breath work, all of that.
So she's a big advocate for those techniques, huh?
Oh, yeah. Because she believes they can help us release that pent-up energy and emotions that often get stuck in our bodies when we try to suppress them. Yeah, I've heard about shaking before. I have to admit, I'm a little curious about it. Is it literally just shaking your body?
Yeah, pretty much.
It sounds a little strange, but also, maybe kind of fun.
It is. It might sound a little out there, but it's surprisingly effective. It's like you're literally shaking off those stagnant energies
Okay.
and creating space for something new to emerge.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I've tried it myself, and it can be really helpful.
Especially when you're feeling stuck.
Totally.
Okay, I'm definitely going to have to give that a try.
I think you'd like it.
So how do these somatic practices, like the shaking, tie into this bigger picture of self-love and manifestation?
Well, Michaela believes that as we start to heal those old wounds and cultivate a stronger sense of self-love, that's when we can start to really tune into our intuition and take what she calls aligned action.
Aligned action.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means taking action from a place of trust and inner knowing rather than from that place of fear or insecurity.
So it's like we're clearing out all that inner clutter so that our inner wisdom can finally shine through.
Exactly. And this is where things get really exciting.
Okay, tell me more.
Because she describes how our inner voice, that deep wisdom within us, often guides us in directions that our minds wouldn't even consider.
So instead of trying to control every outcome and force things to happen, it's more about surrendering to that guidance, even if it doesn't make logical sense at first.
Yes. It's a big shift from that ego-driven mindset of, I need to figure everything out, to a more trusting, receptive state of, I'm open to being guided, even if it takes me somewhere unexpected.
And Michaela believes that's the path to manifesting our deepest desires,
Not just the things our ego thinks we want.
but what our soul is really yearning for.
Exactly. She emphasizes that it's not about knowing every step of the journey, but being open to those unexpected twists and turns and trusting that we're being guided towards something even more amazing than we could have imagined.
Okay, I love that. Embrace the mystery, surrender to the unknown. But to be honest, for someone like me who is so used to planning and controlling, that can feel pretty scary.
Oh, yeah, I get it. It's a big leap of faith.
So what does she say about navigating those feelings of uncertainty and fear?
That's a great question. And that's actually where we'll pick up in part 2 of our deep dive.